Hi, welcome to Questlog. I'm Helene Hannon.
I'm Pharaoh Man. I mean Joseph Leak.
Oh, if you get to be Pharaoh Man, then I want to be
Toad Man.
No, Toad Man only jumps over you. He is the lamest boss.
Wait, I want to be someone.
Will you be Splash Woman?
No.
I'm sorry. I'm the only one who is a robot master here.
You're the only one who's a robot master. Fine, I'll be Chrono from Chrono.
And you're a priest and your wife is a librarian and I'm the robot master.
Okay, well, I'll be Dr. Wily.
I'll be Mega Man. I defeat all of you.
Well, welcome to Questlog, where we figure out what we're talking about as we go. No, we
Yes. No, that's true.
I derailed everything.
In a fun and awesome way. Why Pharaoh Man, though?
He has great music.
He does.
Okay.
And he looks cool.
Okay. And it's hot out.
And it's hot out.
Yeah, it's too hot out.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
That's not what we're not talking about.
Well,
today,
the other day, well, actually the other evening, we were talking with Joseph and just meeting as friends, and his kids came in and they had a very important question for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, what was the best Mega Man game? And my answer immediately was, well, they said, what's your favorite Mega Man game? I said, the best Mega Man game is Mega Man 2. Helene agreed. Our eldest daughter said Mega Man 11, which I thought was very wise. But one of the reasons why Mega Man 2 is so important to me is because it was the first one I played. There's a novelization of it, Worlds of Power by FX9, which I've been rereading these, and these are not good novels. They are not good novels.
You're kidding me.
But there's a great story there in Mega Man 2. It's in Worlds of Power, it's, Mega Man is turned into a human and he has to deal with that while he's fighting the robot masters and whatnot. But I just think there's a great story.
Sorry, go on.
Are you shaking your head at me?
It's just
I'm uncomfortable with this element.
Either he's a robot or a man.
That's right.
I don't know. But go on. So the great story.
Well, I just don't know how you turn a robot into a man.
Right.
Yeah.
Ada would have wanted to know.
Well, it reminds me, I think it reminds me of the American Mega Man cartoon from the 90s, which I'm convinced did not understand what the difference between a robot and a human was. For example, there was an episode where Dr. Wily had developed some kind of device or something that devolved humans back into primate things, but it also worked on Mega Man. Yeah. And there were episodes that involved Dr. Wily gaining control over all electricity and using any electric powered weapon against Mega Man. So appliances and irons and vacuum cleaners are flying through the air at Mega Man, but so are brooms and cables. This is what I'm telling you. I don't think the people who made this show knew what a robot or a machine actually was.
I mean, in the year 20XX, brooms are electronic.
That's true. Maybe things are different in the year 20XX.
So this
I always wondered what that time period was.
Right.
This reminds me of something Joseph also showed us, which was, I think, a 1990 Star Wars chess for the PC. In it, the light side has all the pawns are like R2-D2, Yoda is the Rook, the king is Luke, the queen is Leia, and then the other side of the board is the dark side, and you have stormtroopers and AT-ST walkers, and the queen is Darth Vader, the king is the Emperor.
Yep.
But whenever anyone attacks the other one, they have
it's a
cutscene where they get destroyed.
But in such creative ways.
But in such very creative ways.
Oh, yeah.
And Joseph, as you mentioned, some of them, 1990, they didn't know really what the Force was yet.
Yeah.
Really. So there's some really creative ways that Yoda destroys people.
Yeah. There's one where he makes 4 of himself appear and only one is the real Yoda. And I think it's like Darth Vader or something, gets confused and can't figure it out. The prequels could have benefited from this greater sense of what Yoda could. I think, didn't he also make some kind of vortex appear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sucked Boba Fett in or distracted Boba Fett. All our listeners should go watch these cutscenes on YouTube because they're great. If you want to see R2-D2 kill Darth Vader, you want to see Chewbacca take down an AT-ST walker who's the same size as he is. That's the way it's animated. This YouTube video is a must-see.
Yeah.
Great stuff from the early 90s Star Wars stuff. It hadn't yet exploded back into the mainstream as it did by the time of like the re-release of the trilogy in 97, then the prequels starting in 1999. But in early 90s, it was still pretty weird stuff.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out how this works. Was chess made nerdier by adding Star Wars, or was Star Wars made nerdier by
By turning it into chess. Yes, this is a profound philosophical
It
question.
is. I know that it's ultra nerdy with the two together, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's different types of nerdy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, people who play chess usually don't. I mean, I'm assuming.
Well,
Actually, I shouldn't assume.
Yeah, well, I mean, Star Wars is more fantasy and chess is more sci-fi.
Chess is more
aligned.
intellectual.
Right, that's what I mean.
You'd be thought of as a nerd if you're really good at chess, but also really, really smart. I don't know if in the early 90s, showing off your intense, deep knowledge of what exactly the little maneuver at the Battle of Tanab that Lando Calrissian did, I don't know if that got you the same cred as being a chess master.
Yeah, I remember in late middle school, early high school, my favorite book was The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I was really embarrassed to tell.
I like that you said
anyone
The
about it.
Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Why?
Like if somebody said
Like
like
the other one.
my favorite book is Moby Dick by Herman Melville, or
Well, I
Kill a
don't.
Mockingbird by Harper Lee.
I don't want to assume.
We're not trying to be gatekeepers here, we're trying to include our audience, but we've already,
I prefer Hemingway's take on the Silmarillion personally.
I'll bet you do.
I would not like to see Hemingway's take on the Silmarillion.
No, nor would I. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
We are
Please.
off topic.
When you
We
were
have a
in high
topic for today, I swear.
So
you were in high school and you loved
and I was so embarrassed about letting people know because I liked the Silmarillion. I'm sure most people in, what is it, 96 to 99, when were we in high school? Late,
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
late 90s would probably not know really what the Silmarillion is anyway. But for some reason I thought it was really embarrassing. But, with Japanese role-playing games and reading Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion, and the Hobbit and all this stuff, and then having, the Star Wars stories, one of the great joys in my life was suddenly realizing that I could play these things not on a computer or reading a book, but that I could sit around a table with my one cousin, because he was the only person who played, and imagine whatever we wanted to. And we would, and this was my introduction to D&D. It was AD&D, so second edition. In the front of the book, it said, "This is not third edition."
Wow.
It did not want you thinking this was a third edition, because it said, "We've just made a few tweaks to the game. Don't get, your underwear in a knot. This is just like 2 point."
Okay.
But
Wow.
and it's still all narrative. The wizard, it takes a long time for them to level up. The fighter goes up really quickly. The skills were percentile. They weren't on a D20, they were on a D100. So, and you can never get up to like past 95 or something like that. You could always potentially fail. But my cousin and I in middle school and high school would sit around the table and we'd tell stories. He would tell one, I would tell one, and we just take one monster from the monster manual, and that was like the monster of the week. And that was the only monster that we would face. And it was amazing. Because
That's great. Yeah.
finally we could play whatever story. And of course, the stories were not as good as the Silmarillion, but
No, but right. So the tabletop gaming gave you an option to enter into and play out these kinds of stories in a way, since, by the time you're a teenager and the kind of games you could play as a kid. I mean, even if a person didn't care how much you got made fun of, I just don't think you can re-enter that gate and play imaginative pretend games the way you can when you're a kid, right? Like where you just go run around your yard slashing at things and jumping. Maybe you could. Maybe some people can re-enter that gate, but I think it would feel. I mean, I think I tried. I think I tried as a teenager to be like, this is how I played when I was 5. Why don't I try it again? And I was like, I feel funny.
well, Helene and I did that.
It's called LARPing.
Well, okay, but no. That's even that. I was thinking with the tabletop gaming, it's something more organized, more thought out. I guess I would say even LARPing sounds like that. I mean, I don't know. I've never done LARPing, but I imagine it as being less chaotic than when kids like run around.
Okay.
What about when you
No.
threw that giant piece of ice at Helene?
Okay, well, there was but just
That wasn't LARPing.
kids, and you've seen kids play.
Yeah.
You know the layers and layers of rules that they create for themselves. And it may not make sense to us, it may look chaotic, but they
Okay.
do have structure, the way D&D does. It's just
Yeah.
not the structure an adult would impose.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone listened to the structures I tried to impose when I was a kid,
Well,
but
that might be the problem.
Right, but now you're an adult, so
I would tell them my character just killed your character, and they would say, "No, he's invincible." And I would say, "That's not." I didn't have this vocabulary, but what I wanted to say was, "That's not canon. It's never been established that this character is invincible."
this is why we use dice, you know?
Yeah, well,
See, you're right.
we're just explaining this to our daughters because actually they're in the room, so maybe one of them will peep up. But they were playing together, and the our older daughter was really upset because the way she played with her friend at school, they were super powered up to level like 11, or I guess turn it up to 11.
Uh-huh.
But they were like at 99. And then when she played with her sister, they were at low level, but she was still at 99, and it wasn't working because that play you couldn't translate it. So
Yeah.
usually killing off another person's character is deemed inappropriate.
But it
Why
was
did that?
canonical. I mean, it was rooted in canon.
That's your head. It's called head canon.
No, no. If Leonardo stabbed the shredder in the face between his faceplate, like right in the eye, it would kill him. You can't then say, "Well, he's invincible."
That's
Well,
the games you played.
Joseph
You can't do that,
never
Justin.
dies. It is canon that the Shredder never dies. He gets
Well.
defeated and thwarted all the time, but everyone has plot immunity, like, you can't.
But if he'd been stabbed in the eyes,
I think we're realizing that Joseph was just violent as a child.
well, I had some pretty sensational game ideas.
That's okay.
One of my favorites was,
Sure.
it's true, I liked drama, and there had to be death. For there to be drama, I would get my G.I. Joes, big epic battle. Maybe they're like climbing this cliff to, infiltrate Cobra's base. And it wasn't a really good story unless like most of them died and like there were two survivors.
True.
The show never did this, but I felt really there ought to be like, 10 Joes go in and only 2 come back. And it's
You called
full
them
of-
Joes?
well,
G.I.
that's
Joe?
the lingo. That's the lingo, Tim.
Oh, okay. Adam agrees.
Thank you,
Okay.
Adam, for supporting me.
So two
And
stories.
one of the survivors had to be a ninja because that's the least likely to die.
And it was the 90s.
Adam's right. Well, that's right. This is what made 80s and 90s G.I. Joe way better than what had come before, where it was just like real, actual military things.
Mhm.
Like the 60s. No. 80s and 90s G.I. Joe was clones and androids and ninjas and pirates, along with regular military people. Glorious. Glorious.
So I learned the same lesson that you learned from G.I. Joe from Top Gun. And it's that death is dramatic.
Yeah.
I remember watching G.I. Joe and Goose dies in an accident, and it's
Wait.
all
Gun.
Top Gun.
Goose never died in G.I. Joe.
I
Yeah.
accidentally said.
Well, he's not a Joe. Oh. So in Top Gun, because Goose isn't a Joe, his name is
Right.
not Joe Goose.
Joe Goose.
uh,
G.I. Goose.
he dies, and it's all dramatic, and Tom Cruise's character is all depressed and
Throws those
rides on his
dog
motorcycle.
out in the ocean.
Yeah, and I thought that as a young kid, I don't know why I was watching this movie as a young kid, but I was like, is this drama? Is this what good drama is?
Yeah.
And so then when I was playing with my little Star Wars action figures, someone always died in it too. Chewbacca would go off and the Hoth, which was my carpet, would crumble down into the carpet and die. And then someone would discover him when they crash landed in the snowfield later. They go, "Oh, this is where Chewbacca was."
Oh, Chewbacca.
Dead.
Wow.
No.
That, somehow, I don't know what this says about me, but now I think, Tim, that's awful. I mean, it's one thing to kill off G.I. Joe characters, but you don't kill off main characters in Star Wars.
Well, I didn't think he was a main character. He's a side character.
And Chewbacca still hasn't died in.
You don't kill off the tertiary characters, right?
Yeah, in the Disney movies,
What's wrong with you?
died off. Well, I mean, it's not. It's like R2D2.
This is drama, Joseph.
This is what
It
drama
doesn't have
is.
to please you.
It
I
affect you.
It stirs you.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'd be stirred if you did a movie scene where they crash landed on Hoth and found Chewbacca's frozen body in the ice. I'd be stirred.
You should be.
Yeah.
I'd be affected. Look, I'm just wondering what it says about me that I killed off my G.I. Joe characters in stories, but would never, ever have killed off, Star Wars.
You are the one who gave us that Star Wars chess thing and said
Yeah.
we should watch videos with C-3PO killing the Emperor.
I didn't make it. I didn't make the video.
But you recommended it to all of our listeners.
Boo.
Yes, it's hilarious.
All right.
But I would never play
The
such a
topic.
thing myself.
No, this is getting at it. This is getting at the drama. I mean,
Drama.
maybe I'm just braver than you, Joseph.
I'm sure you are.
A braver storyteller who can kill off main characters.
Right. Well, isn't it it's speaking of Star Wars, although I think we could think of other examples. It's the two recent, I don't even want to say because of spoilers, but two recent Star Wars things got too upsetting for me, and I had to wait till the next time we talked and say I was really bothered by this, and you guys were like taking it in stride, and one of them you even said when you saw it, oh, Joseph's gonna be really bothered by this.
Yeah.
We knew.
So I'm a tender soul.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Except for G.I. Joe toys and Shredder. Shredder,
Yeah.
you could snap him in the face. He's evil.
Oh, I see. You get to,
Maybe he can be redeemed. We're Christians here. Everyone can be redeemed.
even
Everyone
Darth
has the
Vader
possibility.
was redeemed. Come on.
I mean, this is just the Shredder.
I
So we
accept
take these. This is the raw material of what it means to be. That came into being a fan of D&D, a player of tabletop role playing games, and so luckily, and this is the best part, Helene's characters. Helene always does stupid things with her characters.
Oh, it's true. It's great.
Just always, everyone's like, oh, haha, right, okay, because I'm the DM, and then okay, the game master's wife, okay, she gets special treatment. No, she's in greater peril.
Always.
Always dies. I mean, sometimes it's like, oh, I'll crawl towards that, portal to the.
I could have made it, but I rolled like 2 ones in a row, and I did not make it.
Yeah,
and you did not make it.
No.
we were just talking about how this,
was a
huge titan took over her town, and Helene in her chain shirt, her character in a chain shirt and with a normal double-handed sword was like, I'm going at it.
It
And
was like level 6.
the parties was like, no, you're not. We're running away.
It was my town. I had to try.
Yeah. So Helene, you've got a taste for the drama, the boldness.
All the drama.
The boldness.
Got a taste for the bold flavor. That this doesn't. I'm going to interject here and say this sounds like a different kind of character, because so for listeners, a different kind of character for you than I'm accustomed to, Helene. So for listeners, my only experience playing tabletop games was with my esteemed co-hosts here back in grad school. I had never played before, and I've never known anyone since who wanted to play or who knows about it really. I know one person, but I don't know if he would. I don't think he's interested in playing it necessarily. He played it as a in his youth, but I haven't known anyone else besides that. So it's just the Hannons, my experience. And I was reluctant back in school, back in college. I was like, this is going to be really weird. I can't do this with you guys. It's going to feel so weird. One of the really, I'm going to come back to this thing about Helene's characters, but one of the really beautiful things about it was you brought me in, you made it feel comfortable. You made it feel fun. And I was surprised at how quickly it felt natural and fun and easy to forget that you're sitting there at the table making the stuff up as you go. But I don't think Helene's character in those games, I don't think your character, Helene, had a taste for the boldness.
He was impulsive.
Okay, all right, that's true. He was impulsive, your character that I remember.
He also blew away. So one of the characters we had one character come in for one shot.
And we knew it would just be a one.
And we knew it would be a
Didn't
one
wanna
shot.
play again.
So she insulted the captain of the ship who they were taking orders from and they get missions from. This new person insulted the captain of the ship.
Tried to kill the captain, I think.
Tried to kill the captain. And so she was turned into a pile of leaves or cherry blossoms. Flowers. And there was, maybe we can revive her if she's in the same formation. But Helene's character blew the flowers away.
I still
But the player said that this would be her only time gaming. I wasn't killing another player,
Still,
that would be rude. It was at the
in
end of a session.
uh-huh,
Everything was already wrapped up.
very true.
Right.
But that's but in story,
But in
in story,
story, my
your
character didn't know
character
that. Yeah.
so your character had clashed with this newcomer.
Right.
Your character and that character did not get along. And so yeah, I remember Tim saying the captain turns you into a pile of flowers as you try to attack him. And then I remember Helene as her character going and
Right.
the flowers just blew off the ship and scattered into the air and those sea waves. And I thought, whoa,
So
Helene's character just killed that guy.
yes, normally, that's very rude.
Normally, that's very rude. That's what your
Definition,
character.
I swear.
No, you're in character right now. That's exactly what your character from those games would say.
Oh my goodness.
Would say, yes, normally this is rude.
However,
However, because your character had a wonderful sense of decorum, but also
right.
a kind of well impulsiveness and a kind of
Selfishness.
he might do things you don't expect.
Right, so I know better, but I won't do better.
That's why I know better. I won't
Put
do
it that way.
right.
That does seem to describe many of your characters. Know better, but will do better.
But it's fun. It's a safe place to explore different
Yeah,
options.
That's true.
And
Oh yeah.
it's great for that kind of thing.
And there's always the chance that your character will die a horrible, nasty death.
Like
or
in a choose your own adventure.
like a choose your own adventure.
It's
Yeah.
Right. Always.
Why were there so many horrible deaths in those kids' books?
Right? That's the thing. Like these were all formative experiences for us.
There's
you know?
also, so as an adult, I discovered that there are choose your own adventure books of a higher class and complexity. These are called solo fantasy role playing adventures.
Oh boy.
We found 3 different sets of them. One are from Middle Earth, Tolkien's world, Joseph.
Yeah, that
Another from Narnia, and another from Sherlock Holmes. And you actually have stats in this. And they have a chart in the back where you close your eyes and you poke your pencil at the chart, and there's a number in the box. And that's the number that you rolled to see whether or not you defeat the orcs or you discover the this magical magical lake that turns you into gold if you jump into it. And there are horrible, nasty deaths in the Rings one, but the Narnia one, of course, is very, very G-rated.
uh-huh.
Thing, if anything happens to your characters, you get to roll another roll, which is kind of a, do you really want to do this roll? And the limit of it is like only if you roll a 1 or a 2 do you get to, be pulled away from the flame. If you roll above a 1 or a 2, you get pulled away from the flame. And if you roll a 1 or a 2, then you're whisked back to the real world, and someone shakes their finger at you and tells you to go back and try again.
That is nice and generous.
Safety net. Goodness.
But it sounds like you could still be killed if you ignore the the warning.
Well, that's one of your stats, the warning stat.
True.
You can have a +4 in your "did I do something wrong" stat. Well, to roll this stat, it's like, oh, okay, I made the wrong choice. I guess I'll go back and try that again.
I feel like C.S. Lewis might object that there's a free will issue going on here that, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine explaining the concept of tabletop games to Tolkien and Lewis. Different generation.
Joseph,
Yeah.
you're planning to have a Substack about Tolkien and Lewis.
That's true.
And one of the things you're dealing with is, would Tolkien or Lewis have liked this particular book?
Yes.
If they read it. What do you think they would think of tabletop role-playing games?
I think these kind of questions there's like 2 possibilities that you could work from. One is like, are we talking about something where you go back in time to like 1935 or something and present this to them? Or are you saying, imagine that they grew up in roughly the same generation as we did, what would they think? Because I feel like the generational thing, it makes a barrier, just because it's hard to imagine somebody who has no concept of this kind of thing and is totally unused to it receiving it well when it's so foreign to their experiences. But if they, of course, then if people grew up and acclimated in a particular cultural climate, they wouldn't be the same people they had been. So maybe these are the kind of questions I shouldn't ask because it gets in the way of thinking of an answer. I like to hope, leaving aside those problems, I like to hope they would see the good in this kind of thing. However foreign or strange it might seem to them, the goodness in trying to imaginatively enter into these worlds and play out parts in them. Tolkien was so big into the idea of the sub-creator, as he called it. The idea of, the author, the storyteller, the myth maker is a sub-creator. God is the creator, but we are made in his image and likeness. So we like to create things too in our own way. This is something parallel to that, not quite the same. You're not necessarily, to some extent, there's sub-creation going on, but it's all also spontaneous, in the moment. You are acting out and living out these characters in this place. So I'd like to think that there'd be some common ground for Tolkien and Lewis to appreciate why people would want to do this. It's up their alley in some ways.
I think C.S. Lewis would really enjoy it because of the camaraderie.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I think that he would really, if he could understand what was going, like, again, the generational thing, like, here, let's transport D&D back to the 30s and 40s and stuff like that. I think he would love it because of how much fun it would be with other people, like talking and making up a character. And I think he'd be really, really good at it, because he'd probably he'd be like, I'm going to be, the knight from the Fairy Queen today. And let's see how that goes. And he'll just go with it. I think Tolkien would be very interested in, like, watching it and thinking about it in the same way you mentioned, like, about
That's
subjugation
interesting.
and whatnot. He might feel embarrassed to kind of jump in.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
doing
I can
it,
see that.
even though he was embarrassed.
That's true, right? You might,
Especially
Lewis
making
might.
things up on the fly because he told stories to his kids.
Yeah.
We know that,
That's true. That's true. Maybe Lewis would have done the job you guys did and pulled him in despite his reservations.
I think so, because he owes Tolkien for converting him. So
That's right. He owes him. Well, he dedicated the screw tape letters to him.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's nice and all, but yeah.
And Tolkien was completely confused by this.
Yeah,
Right.
He would.
Why in the world would you dedicate this story about demons to me, of all people? And I can understand why, but I'm sure it struck Tolkien as kind of strange.
Yeah.
Tolkien and Lewis wrote lots of fanfics and stuff. So, that's just a step away from D&D, I think.
Yeah.
They like to imagine other people's stories all the time, not just their own, So, yeah, I think they
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's definitely an opportunity to let your creativity, both in terms of, world building, but also character portrayal, really let all that kind of out. I think you're right too, Helene, about the fun of tabletop gaming being a kind of safe place to explore different personalities and character types. It sounds analogous to me to something I've always thought with voice actors and, like, also puppeteers, people who worked, like, for, Jim Henson and things like that. Because often in both fields, you had a kind of relatively small group of people, so they had to do multiple parts. And it's always seemed like how fun it must be to be a voice actor and simultaneously be doing, you're Freddy on Scooby-Doo, but you're also Megatron on Wars, the leader of the Decepticons. You're the noble, heroic Optimus Prime, but you're also Eeyore on the Winnie the Pooh cartoon. Or to use the Muppet example, Carol Spinney, I think he joked at one point that the fact that he played both, performed and did the voice for both Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch, probably saved him thousands of dollars in therapy. He said, what a great chance to be, on the one hand, someone so sweet and so pure and good, and also this nasty jerk of a thing who lives in a trash can. But it's fun to be different characters, and I do think that's true about tabletop gaming as well. Like, how fun to just try on this different role.
Yeah, and I think I would recommend all Christians play tabletop role-playing games, because I think basically what we do as Christians is we kind of try to role-play Jesus Christ. We try to put on Jesus's personality and self and will, and we try to put on God's will. And we go around and don't do what we think we would do in a situation. We think, okay, well, what would Jesus do? But what would God do in the situation? How would God think of this? You're getting into the mind of somebody else. And I don't know if tabletop role-playing game has necessarily made me better at that, but it's given me an idea of how to do that inside my head.
Yeah. Right. It certainly runs. It's certainly good practice. It would seem to me, practice in inhabiting another role or persona. Yeah.
Yeah, especially, Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch. But that just seems like
What
golden.
I know, right? What fun! What fun that must be. But yeah, it is it can be hard. I mean, we all know as Christians how hard it is to put on Christ like that and to live like he does. We need all the practice we can get. And also it suggests to me that there's an element of like compassion and empathy connected to this as well,
Mhm.
because of to the extent to which you're trying to say radically different people are people, as different, to keep pushing this a comparison, as different people as Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch are, they are people, and you're trying to get inside their heads a little bit, walk in their shoes, see how they see things. And the idea that you could inhabit more than one kind of person like that. Like you wouldn't, in other words, say, no, I'm nothing like that. So how can I relate to you or see the world the way you do it? I'm not like you. But that's what voice acting and Muppeteering and tabletop gaming give you a chance to do. Like I said, we need practice at this because we're not naturally good at it. I mean, we're good at it when it's people we like, then it's easy to be like, I see the world the way you do. There are others, it's harder for us.
Yeah.
But that's one of the most important things to do as a Christian, I think, to
Yeah.
say, how does this person feel about this? How does this person react to this?
Mhm.
Whether that's someone we want to or are moved to try to understand, or someone we are definitely not moved to understand, that
Mhm.
we know that it is our good Christian duty to try to
Yes.
understand what it's like to be in this situation. I think I always think of Boethius in these situations, but Boethius, the whole thing of, trying to put on his mortal enemy. There's this author of in the, what was it, 300s, 400s? When did Boethius write?
6th century, I think.
6th century. Okay.
Hmm.
Later than I thought. Try to get into the mind of his worst enemy. And when he does that, he sees that the worst enemy is suffering more than anyone else who he inflicts hurt and evil upon.
Yeah.
Being evil is suffering enough. And that's a hard place to get to. I knew someone who tried to put on the understanding of his molecules in his body that were growing cancerous, and he tried to understand what that would feel like. And eventually it helped heal him. And he was able to survive cancer, not because he role played his cells, but
Mhm.
I think that had something to do with it and feeling compassion for the parts inside of him.
Wow, that is something. That's the kind of thing that definitely you feel like that's God at work. That's not
Yeah.
an easy thing for any human to do, but that's remarkable that he did.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're ready to end, but to end on that.
It's not our usual lighthearted, jovial, cheerful note that we end on, that all our listeners have come to expect of us.
Well, that's drama.
That's right. That's the drama.
That's storytelling. That's
Yep.
The world is full of pathos.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to have to deal with that, and it could be difficult, but it's
Yeah.
worth doing.
Yes.
I hear that it's coming back.
So with that, we should wish a happy birthday to Final Fantasy IX in the hopes that it has a remake just like Final Fantasy VII.
Oh,
Whoa. So it's an anniversary today?
It's an anniversary today. Final Fantasy IX is a kind of weird, 7 was such a big thing. 8, some people are like, why isn't it more like Final Fantasy VII? And it took a while for people to kind of really understand what makes 8 really, really a good game. 9 was like this like golden child that should have been born 5 years later.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
it was really pushing the PlayStation, everything.
it was
And
gorgeous.
it was gorgeous, and it had this great little mini game.
Music
Was great.
fantastic.
Story was kind of weird, but I loved it.
It had some gems.
It had some gems.
Some
Then
real gems.
then they went to Final Fantasy X, which again was a huge seller. Final Fantasy IX as a sometimes secret and loving place in the heart of many people.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's lovely. So when did it come out?
25 years ago. Oh,
Math yourselves.
25. I can do that math. The year 2000.
All right, that's one of the easy ones.
Yeah. There you go. Well, on that embarrassing note of being unable to do simple math, goodbye, everyone.
We're not here for math. It's okay.
I really want some pork slap.
That stuff nasty.
No, it looks good.